If we're being honest here, modern women don't struggle to attract men, they struggle to commit to one. In today's world, commitment feels less like a natural step and more like a trap to avoid. They say they want love, but when it shows up steady and real, suddenly they hesitate. Why? Because deep down, modern women are caught between two worlds, the fantasy of endless options and the reality of what truly fulfills them. Social media, dating apps, and constant attention have rewired the way they see men and relationships. Commitment now feels like giving up freedom, and freedom feels addictive. But here's the controversial truth. This constant hesitation isn't strength, it's confusion. And the men who don't understand this end up frustrated, while the ones who do become unforgettable. 1. The illusion of endless options. Here's the harsh truth most men refuse to see. Modern women aren't short on attention, they're drowning in it. Every time she opens Instagram, TikTok, or even a random dating app she downloaded out of boredom, she's reminded that there are dozens, if not hundreds, of men willing to give her validation instantly. A like, a DM, a flirty comment. It's all a small dopamine hit that convinces her she has infinite options. And when someone believes they can always upgrade, commitment suddenly feels like a prison. Think about it. Why would a woman settle into one relationship if her phone is buzzing with men telling her she's beautiful, interesting, or worth chasing? It's not that she doesn't want love. It's that she's addicted to the feeling of possibility. This illusion convinces her that maybe, just maybe, there's someone taller, richer, more exciting, or more validating, waiting right around the corner. And when you're hooked on the fantasy of something better, no man in the real world feels good enough to anchor down with. Here's where men get blindsided. You think you're competing with the last guy she dated. In reality, you're competing with an army of men she doesn't even know personally, but who flood her with digital attention every single day. This is why you'll notice modern women talk about keeping their options open or not rushing into anything. It's not that they don't want connection. It's that their brain is wired to crave the constant novelty that comes with unlimited access. But here's the deeper, more controversial truth. Those options are an illusion. Most of those men in her DMs aren't serious. They're bored, looking for validation themselves, or just shooting their shot with anyone who posts a selfie. Yet, in her mind, it still feels like she's walking through a marketplace full of endless choices. And that perception alone is enough to make her second-guess commitment to even a good man. A stoic man understands this dynamic. He doesn't beg for her attention or compete with the noise. He knows real value isn't proven through chasing, but through presence. When she realizes all that attention from strangers is shallow and temporary, the man who stays grounded, confident, and unshaken will stand out in her memory. That's why you never fight for her attention. You let her discover the difference between digital illusions and real masculine presence. 2. Fear of losing independence. One of the biggest reasons modern women struggle with commitment isn't because they don't want love. It's because they're terrified of losing their independence. For years, society has drilled the message that independence is the ultimate power. Never rely on a man. Always put yourself first. Don't let anyone control you. And while independence is valuable, it's been twisted into something that often works against real connection. Now, instead of seeing commitment as partnership, many women see it as surrender. Here's where things get tricky. A woman who's built her identity around being strong, self-sufficient, and untouchable will subconsciously resist giving her heart fully. Why? Because in her mind, commitment equals vulnerability. Vulnerability equals risk. And risk equals potential pain. So even when she meets a man she genuinely likes, she'll put up walls. She'll keep you at arm's length, not because she doesn't want you, but because letting you in feels like giving up control. Think about it. How many times have you seen a woman claim she wants a relationship, Yet the moment things get serious, she starts pulling away. That's the fear of independence slipping. She tells herself she doesn't want to be tied down. She convinces herself she needs to focus on herself. But underneath those words is a deeper fear, that by committing, she's somehow losing the freedom to call all the shots. Here's the paradox. Women crave safety, loyalty, and stability. But the same qualities they long for can also trigger their fear of dependence. That's why you'll notice modern women swinging between extremes, deeply desiring connection one moment, then sabotaging it the next. It's not that they don't want love, it's that they're wrestling with the fear of giving up control. A stoic man doesn't feed that fear. He doesn't pressure her or try to cage her. Instead, he shows through his actions that commitment doesn't mean control. It means strength. It means partnership, not prison. When you embody calm, grounded masculinity, you flip the script. You show her that being with you doesn't erase her independence, it enhances it. That's when she realizes that true freedom isn't found in pushing everyone away. It's found in choosing the right man to stand beside her. 3. The addiction to validation. Here's something men rarely realize. Modern women are hooked on validation like it's a drug, and it's not always their fault. Society has engineered it this way. From the time she's a teenager, she's bombarded with likes, comments, and constant reinforcement that her value comes from how much attention she can attract. Every heart on her photo, every compliment in her inbox, every glance she gets when she walks into a room, it's all fuel for her self-image. And when you've been conditioned to crave that constant rush, committing to one man feels like cutting off your supply. Think about it. A relationship with one man means the attention narrows. Suddenly, she's not feeding on the endless stream of praise from dozens of men. And for women who have grown used to that constant dopamine hit, it feels like withdrawal. So instead of fully committing, many women keep their options half open, not necessarily cheating, but keeping a safety net of attention in the background. A guy from work who flirts, an old fling who still checks in, a trail of men online who would take their shot if she gave the signal. This isn't about love. It's about keeping the validation alive. Here's the dangerous part. Most men misinterpret this. They think if they just shower her with more compliments, more effort, more energy, she'll stop looking elsewhere. But the opposite happens. The more you try to fill her validation tank, the more she subconsciously devalues it, because she's already overflowing with cheap attention from others. And when your validation feels too easy, it loses its impact. A stoic man understands this trap. He doesn't compete with her audience. He doesn't try to out-compliment strangers on the internet. Instead, he makes his validation rare, intentional, and powerful. When he says she looks incredible, it's not just a line. She feels it because it's not constant background noise. He knows that his presence carries more weight than 100 thirsty comments from strangers. That scarcity is what makes his attention valuable. At the end of the day, women don't commit to the man who gives them the most validation. They commit to the man whose validation actually means something. And the only way it means something is when it comes from a man who doesn't hand it out like candy, but delivers it with purpose, control, and authenticity. That's what separates the unforgettable from the forgettable. 3. The fear of missing out, FOMO. One of the biggest reasons modern women struggle with commitment is the constant fear of missing out. We live in a culture that glorifies options, new experiences, new adventures, new people. And while choice can be empowering, it also creates a hidden anxiety. What if I settle too soon? What if I commit to this man and miss out on someone better, richer, or more exciting? That thought alone is enough to sabotage even the strongest connection. Here's the reality. Commitment requires closing doors. It means choosing one man and saying no to the endless stream of possibilities the world throws at her. And for many women today, that feels terrifying. They've been conditioned to believe there's always something better just around the corner. Social media only fuels this belief. She scrolls through highlight reels of other couples, influencers flaunting perfect relationships, and celebrities living dream lifestyles. Suddenly, her perfectly good relationship doesn't feel good enough. Not because of you, but because of comparison. Think about it. You could be treating her well, being consistent, and showing up as a strong man, but the moment she sees another couple traveling the world together or another woman posting about her perfect fiancé, doubt creeps in. She starts wondering, am I missing out? Could I do better? That's the poison of FOMO. It convinces her to hold back, to keep one foot in and one foot out, never fully committing, just in case something shinier comes along. Here's where most men make the mistake. They try to convince her. They try to prove they're the best choice, begging for reassurance, constantly reminding her of how good they are together. But the more you try to fight her fear of missing out, the more you validate it. Why? Because you're showing insecurity. You're telling her, without words, that you're afraid of being replaced. And women can sense that fear instantly. A stoic man takes a different path. He never chases her fear. He embodies presence. He knows that no matter how many options she thinks she has, very few men can truly make her feel safe, desired, and respected at the same time. He doesn't compete with illusions. He becomes the reality she can't walk away from. And when she realizes that the better options she's chasing are shallow, temporary, and often fake, she comes back to the man who never flinched. That's the power of standing grounded in a world addicted to endless choice. 4. Past wounds and trust issues. Here's a truth most men overlook. Many modern women don't just struggle with commitment because of outside influences. They struggle because of what's already inside them. Past wounds, heartbreaks, and betrayals linger longer than they admit. And those scars quietly shape the way they approach new relationships. On the surface, she may laugh, flirt, and act carefree, but deep down, she's guarded. She remembers how badly it hurt the last time she trusted someone who let her down. And that memory alone is enough to make her hesitate when it comes to committing fully. Think about it. If she's been cheated on, abandoned, or emotionally neglected, every time she starts to feel close to you, alarms go off in her mind. She'll start testing you, pulling away to see if you chase, creating drama to see if you stay, or withholding affection to see if you earn it. She's not doing this because she doesn't like you. She's doing it because she's terrified of repeating the past. To her, commitment isn't just about love, it's about risk. And risk means potential pain. Here's where most men ruin it. They get frustrated with her walls. They push harder, demand reassurance, or try to force her into opening up faster. But pressure only makes her retreat further. The more you chase, the more she feels like she's losing control, and the more she withdraws. Suddenly, what could have been a deep connection turns into a cycle of tension and confusion. But here's the controversial truth. It's not your job to fix her. You're not her therapist, and you're not there to heal every scar. What you can do, however, is embody stability. A stoic man doesn't get rattled when she tests him. He doesn't fall apart when she gets distant. Instead, he remains grounded, calm, and consistent. That calmness slowly chips away at her doubts. She starts to realize you're not the men who hurt her. You're not unstable. You're not temporary. You're solid. When a woman feels that steadiness, commitment stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a relief. That's when her guard lowers, not because you begged her, but because your presence proved stronger than her fears. And in a world full of men trying too hard, That quiet confidence is what makes you unforgettable. 5. Unrealistic standards and the fantasy trap. Another reason modern women struggle with commitment is because they're trapped between reality and fantasy. Let's be honest, movies, TV shows, social media, and romance novels have sold women a version of love that doesn't exist. The perfect man who's tall, rich, endlessly exciting, emotionally available, yet never insecure, never tired, never flawed. This image is burned into their minds, and whether they admit it or not, many are secretly measuring every real man against this fantasy. And of course, reality always falls short. Here's the problem. When a woman chases fantasy, commitment feels like settling. She tells herself, yes, he's good to me, but what if there's someone out there who has it all? That what if is deadly. It creates dissatisfaction even when she has a great man right in front of her. Instead of appreciating consistency, she starts craving constant fireworks. Instead of valuing loyalty, she craves drama. And the second the relationship feels normal, or worse, predictable, she convinces herself something must be wrong. Think about it. How many times have you seen a woman walk away from a stable, good man only to chase someone toxic, unpredictable, or unavailable? It's because toxic men feed the fantasy. They bring chaos, mystery, and emotional highs and lows that feel like the movies she grew up watching. It's thrilling, but it's not sustainable. And yet, it tricks her into believing commitment to a stable man is boring, while chasing drama feels like passion. Here's where men get stuck. They either bend over backward, trying to meet her impossible standards, or they shrink, believing they're not enough. Both approaches fail because you can't outcompete a fantasy. The more you try to be perfect, the more pressure you put on yourself, and the more she subconsciously loses respect for you. A stoic man, however, plays a different game. He doesn't chase fantasy. He lives in reality. He understands he'll never be perfect, and he doesn't need to be. What he offers instead is authenticity. He's consistent, grounded, and unshaken by her shifting expectations. Over time, she realizes something powerful. The fantasy fades, but reality lasts. The man who can hold his ground without pretending, who can offer strength without chasing approval, ends up becoming more valuable than any illusion she was chasing. At the end of the day, women don't truly want perfection. They want presence. And when you stop trying to live up to her fantasy and instead stand strong in your reality, you become the kind of man she doesn't want to lose. 6. The fear of accountability. Another hidden reason modern women struggle with commitment is that true commitment requires accountability, and accountability is uncomfortable. When a woman commits to one man, she can no longer hide behind the excuse of, I'm just exploring, or I'm keeping my options open. Suddenly, her choices, her effort, and her consistency matter. And in a world where freedom is glorified and responsibility is often avoided, accountability feels heavy. Here's the reality. Being single gives her endless outs. If she's distant, it's fine. She's not tied to anyone. If she disappears, no one has the right to call her out. But in a committed relationship, her actions have weight. If she says she'll be there, she needs to show up. If she promises loyalty, she has to honor it. That kind of pressure makes some women hesitate, not because they don't want love, but because they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. Think about it. Commitment means she can't just ghost when she feels overwhelmed. She can't flirt with whoever she wants without consequences. She can't endlessly consume attention from other men while still holding on to yours. Real relationships demand honesty, communication, and effort. And effort is work. Many women love the idea of love, but they shy away when they realize it also requires discipline. Here's where most men mess up. They see her fear of accountability and try to lower the standard to keep her around. They tolerate inconsistency, excuse disrespect, and accept half effort, thinking it will make her stay. But it backfires. Because deep down, women don't respect men who let them slide. If you don't hold the frame, she knows she can walk all over you, and that kills attraction faster than anything else. A stoic man, on the other hand, doesn't fear her resistance. He doesn't beg her to commit, and he doesn't bend his standards to make it easier for her. Instead, he makes it clear. If she wants to be in his life, accountability isn't optional. His presence demands respect, not because he forces it, but because he lives it himself. He shows consistency, discipline, and integrity, and by doing so, he expects the same. And here's the secret most men never understand. Women crave boundaries. They may resist them at first, but deep down, they feel safer with a man who holds the line. Because commitment without accountability isn't real, it's just convenience. And a woman knows the difference. 7. Confusion. Between desire and readiness. One of the most overlooked reasons modern women struggle with commitment is because they confuse wanting love with being ready for love. These are two very different things. A woman can genuinely desire a relationship, talk about it constantly, even imagine her future with someone, but when the time comes to actually step into it, she realizes she isn't prepared for the responsibility, vulnerability, or consistency it requires. Desire is easy, readiness is hard, and it's that gap that keeps so many women stuck. Here's the truth. Modern culture encourages women to chase experiences, attention, and excitement long before it encourages them to build stability. They're told to live your best life, date around, don't settle too soon, and explore your options. So many women grow up indulging in desire, wanting affection, wanting romance, wanting validation, without ever developing the emotional maturity to sustain a committed relationship. Then, when they meet a man who could actually give them what they say they want, they sabotage it. Not because he's wrong for them, but because they're not ready for what they claim to want. Think about it. She might enjoy the chase, the butterflies, and the attention at the start, but the moment the relationship requires patience, effort, or sacrifice, she hesitates. She starts pulling back, not because she doesn't like you, but because she's realizing that desire alone isn't enough. Commitment requires self-control, emotional regulation, and the ability to prioritize someone else. And if she hasn't built those skills, her attraction to you will always clash with her unreadiness to commit. Most men misread this. They take her mixed signals personally. One day she's all in, the next she's distant, and he thinks it's about him. But in reality, it's about her. She's wrestling with the gap between her desires and her readiness, and no amount of chasing, convincing, or begging can bridge that gap for her. A stoic man sees it clearly. He doesn't internalize her inconsistency. He doesn't waste energy trying to drag her into commitment she isn't prepared for. Instead, he stays centered and lets her actions reveal the truth. If she's not ready, he doesn't wait around hoping she'll change. He walks. Because he knows that commitment without readiness is just chaos disguised as romance. And only when a woman matures enough to align her desire with true readiness does commitment actually work. Until then, it's nothing more than a fantasy she keeps talking about, but never chooses. End of the day, commitment isn't about what she says she wants. It's about what she's actually ready to choose. And if you've been paying attention, you now know exactly why so many modern women hesitate. But here's the truth. Once you master your own presence, confidence, and boundaries, you stop worrying about who's ready and who's not, because you know you are. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where a woman said she wanted commitment but pulled away when it got real? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I go through them personally. And in the next video, I'm going to reveal the one hidden behavior women use to test if you're truly masculine or just pretending. So hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and I'll see you there.